All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back again to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, joined this week by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. Glad to see you, my friend. Glad you're healthy. How you feeling?
I'm glad to be back. Appreciate you holding down the fort. I felt like crap, man. But it's the winter thing. You got kids and they bring home all the most randomest stuff. But I feel much better now, thankfully. I
Glad you're
right away I
feeling
was
better. It's the first, probably not the last. Like I've gone through the whole like
no.
flu,
Yeah.
cold, COVID. There's like a million things going around,
Yeah.
so
No, for
it's just
us
part of the
first
wave.
first with us it was a stomach flu. That went around. And then after that was now the flu, and then upper respiratory infections ran rampant.
Oh, no,
Bronchitis. I'm like, yay, thank you. Thank you, schools.
I
I
know. It's
love
like
it.
that's the education, bringing everyone together, getting everyone
Well,
sick at
and
the
it's
same
not
time.
really that. I feel it's because I feel like I know it's gonna be a little soapbox thing here, but I feel like a lot of these schools harp so much on like kids' attendance. Like they like straight up are like, hey, if they ain't dying, send them to school. We need the money.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, they're sick. They're not going.
And then to
So
get everybody sick, like my girls are always like Maddie's always sick. She's always got something, and then she comes home and gives it to her sister and gives it to everybody
and
else. So we do the
it just
rounds.
makes its
So
rounds. So
yeah,
yeah.
so I know how you feel. So glad you're
But
healthy
yeah.
for now.
Survived. I'm good. Just makes the immune system stronger, I guess, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we had the big Raw on Netflix premiere, which was on Monday night. All the hoopla, the build up to it, such a big deal that now Raw is going to be available in hundreds of millions of homes
Yeah.
worldwide. Only did about 4.6 million views, which is great for a Raw, but I think it's obviously a record number considering they usually do like 2 million views on Raw. So, but considering how big the audience was, I think they were probably looking for a little bit more, but still a big success. But
Yeah.
let's dive into the big
Yeah,
Netflix premiere, Big D.
they definitely. So I remember going into Raw. They had this. Somebody was posting on Instagram or not on Instagram, on TikTok. I was seeing that there was this big old curtain around the ring, which was interesting to see. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, oh, cool, new ring setup. So of course Triple H comes out and kicks off the premiere. He talks about wrestling and they play a video package, which pretty much just like literally pulls the curtain open for the whole world to see about how wrestling is. They literally showed like a typewriter in front of a ring as like some dude's typing, right? And I'm like, all right, I
Like
guess
this is scripted, everyone.
yeah.
Just
So
so
I
you'll know.
guess I guess their approach, and you know what, I'll give them credit, right? It's kind of like they're saying, you know what, it's 2025. We know the internet is a thing; it exists. Our characters cannot be like the Undertaker and stay in character 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So why not? They're like, yeah, this is scripted as is anything else you watch on TV or Netflix, which is true. That's always been my argument when people tell me, don't you think it's fake? I'm like, well, I mean, it's scripted, but
Like, well,
whatever.
so I'm like, so are movies.
Yeah.
Movies are scripted too, but I still
Movies,
enjoy them.
characters on TV, reality shows, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
reality shows are all scripted. All that
I
stuff
mean,
that's
come
supposed to
on.
be improvised, it's all scripted.
So yeah, I'm like, whatever. But I guess for this, I guess why I like it is because they're really leaning into the whole fact that this is entertainment, right? Like this is what we're gonna be transparent, and they're using a lot of words like shoot, and they're using a lot of words like promo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see. But the montage I bring it up because it was so cool. It had me excited
Yeah.
because it was showing like that they were turning the ring canvas into an actual canvas. And when they showed the final result, because there was a person painting, when they showed the final result, it was like an actual mural of like legends and
Yeah.
wrestling of past. And I thought that was going to be the new ring canvas, which I thought would have been amazing. I thought
Yeah.
that would have been so cool. And then they revealed a black canvas
Black Canvas
with
with sponsors
sponsorships,
all
Fortnite
over.
in the middle, and I was like, "Damn, almost." But hey, they got to get the bills paid. I get
Well,
it,
they
totally
do, and
get
I
it.
was like, oh no, we're getting just like all corporate sponsorships
It's
everywhere
like UFC
now.
style, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I will say
mean,
I love the video though. The story of the WWE video just like hit me hard when I was watching it. Like all the stuff from the 80s and 90s and then Attitude Era. And it's I say it again, it was like the trip down memory lane where I was like, oh gosh, the product was so much better back then. You can say whatever you want
mhm,
now, but they keep saying
yeah,
that. Like Drew McIntyre's like, it's never been better than it is now. I'm like, no, it was in the Attitude Era. It was better, but everyone has their different experience with it. When you're growing up, like I'm sure the kids that see it now, in 20 years, are going to be like, "Oh, it was better. It was better when I was younger." But I really love the video package. But it
yeah.
just made me think in terms of like, wow, for me, the best years of pro wrestling are behind it. at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it kind of reminds us of that. And folks that don't believe us, I saw that on Netflix. I kind of already started going down memory lane. They have like the old episodes of Raw from the Attitude Era, uncensored.
yeah,
So in all their full glory, the way we saw it growing up,
yeah,
which is great. I remember somebody mentioned like, "Oh wow, the WWF logo is not like blurred out." I'm like, "Well, I don't think it has been for a while now."
yeah.
But yeah,
I
they
think only
still,
when they show it like on mainstream they blur it.
yeah,
But if
like on their social media and stuff, yeah, or
yeah,
they flash back on like live TV or whatever. But it's mainly it gets out there, so that's great. So yeah, if y'all are ever curious, just go watch that. It's amazing. But keeping in the theme here, we had a appearance by Rock, The Rock,
yeah,
Dwayne Johnson. Now I don't know what to call him because he came out in his full corporate mode
yeah,
and just completely tossed out the storyline between him and Cody. That
yeah,
was interesting. Yeah, because
yeah.
he was like, Cody, we're buddies. Say hi to your mom for me, and they
I
just kind of
know.
chuckled.
I
And
love Mama
Cody's like, oh,
Rhodes.
I hate you.
Well, everything about that, I was like, huh. Like we didn't get Final Boss
No,
Rock.
we got the
We got
music, but we didn't get
we
Final
got the
Boss Rock.
music, but we got full on babyface like 180, where he's being nice to Cody and giving him his flowers, as the kids like to say these days. And I was just like, oh, this is kind of an odd choice. And he's like, I'm going to be watching my cousin later, and I'm thinking, well, didn't you put your cousin on notice? Because like after the tag match, when he walked down and did the 1, 2, 3 thing,
Yeah,
and then walked away, none of that paid off. Like
no,
like I'm trying to figure out what's happening here, because is the
no.
Rock just stepping? Are they abandoning the whole Roman versus the Rock storyline? Are they abandoning the Cody
Well,
versus
the
the Rock
Rock versus
storyline?
Cody would have been great to pursue, but it looks like they just kind of like ditched it all. They just like
Yeah,
crumpled it all up and like because he was like waving to everybody, and Cody was ringside, and Cody was smiling, and his daughters and his mom were ringside on the other side,
yeah,
and he was like, "I'm gonna go sit here and enjoy this match and see my cousin. My cousins do battle in tribal combat." And I'm like, "Bro, weren't you
yeah.
against them? Like, weren't you against Roman? Weren't you
Well, and then,
against?"
and then yeah, then after that's why after the tribal combat match, which everyone knows, spoiler alert, Roman won. But after that, he came out and did nothing,
No,
and was
yeah.
just like hugged him, and it was like, okay, they're
Which I
buddies.
thought would have been a prime opportunity for him to hit like a rock bottom or something
Yeah,
and kind of show like, make a move. But no, they just embraced it. I mean, it was a great moment, right? But because I guess they kept talking about how he's a high chief now and this and
yeah.
that, and which I pointed out a long time ago.
Yeah, you mentioned that like a year
Yeah.
ago at least.
But
He's crazy.
I was just like, you thought they would have, they're leaning into that. Maybe they were going to like, maybe he was going to do something, but not even. But yeah, like you said, we had Roman Reigns against Solo Sokoa. Jesus, I cannot talk today. But yeah, we had that match start kick off Raw, which was good to see. It was for the Ulafala and custody of Paul Heyman. So we were going, it was a great match. It was fun. I liked it.
Fun match.
It was a very entertaining match. There was a lot of back and forth. You did have, of course, the Bloodline come out to interfere. Uh, excuse me. Then you had Kevin Owens come out, hit a stunner on Roman, which you thought was going to be it. And then Cody comes in for the save, which I thought was hilarious because Cody's music plays and he's coming from the ramp. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, 10 minutes ago, weren't you just sitting ringside? Like, you could
Yeah,
have just hung
what
out right there.
happened? Yeah,
And it's not like he changed. He was still in
he was
his
still in a
suit.
suit. Yeah, because I was thinking that too. Because I was like, oh, he should come out of the crowd, and then he comes right out. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So you just came out and sat with the people for The Rock, and then as soon as that segment
Ran
was over, you went to the
backstage
back.
and waited in Gorilla for your music
Yeah.
to hit so you can come back out again. I'm like, dude, just stay out there.
It would have. I think it would have made more sense for him to hop the barrier and
Yeah.
help, because it was like, oh, you're sitting out there, you're already witnessing all this. You see KO,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
come
hop the
out.
barrier. That would have made more sense. So you're right. The setup for that was really strange.
It was. But of course, you had Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu before that came out. Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso kind of fixed that, and that was done. But yeah, but then Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, that was weird. And then after that, you had Roman Reigns counter the Samoan spike with a spear, and he of course hit a second spear, and now he's the tribal chief, embraced by The Rock in the rings, and it was just weird because although I'm happy with the result, and that's what I wanted to happen. I think it's great to see. Solo was supposed to acknowledge Roman. He obviously just, hightailed it out.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, spoiler alert, again, he was not on SmackDown, but he's supposed to be there this week. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that later, obviously, when you cover SmackDown. But that was pretty much it, right? Like, I feel like we're missing a more dramatic point. I think they were trying to give the dramatic emphasis to, like, The Rock, giving him his flowers. But
Yeah.
I feel like more could have been done. here, right? Like he could have made Solo acknowledge him and kind of hold that because Roman was known to rule with an iron fist as well. So he could have been like, come back here and you're gonna acknowledge, but no, none of that happened. So
Yeah, it
I
felt
don't know.
anticlimactic to me. Like I was like, oh, we've been waiting for the tribal combat match. We've been waiting for this final
Right.
showdown and whoever's gonna lead the family going forward. And Roman kind of won without any fanfare and just got a hug from The Rock, and it was like, okay, we're
I
done
mean,
with
the
this.
crowd went ballistic, which was great.
Yeah,
But
no, the
I
crowd was
mean,
into it, and
yeah.
this for me was probably the match of the night. Like I enjoyed this one the most,
Mm-hmm.
even with all the interference and even with Kevin Owens and Cody jumping in there at some point. I thought it was all good. The Rock's reaction was odd. It really felt like the Rock backing out of all the storylines now,
Mm-hmm.
which I can't tell if this is a red herring. People are trying like, oh well, the Rock's like, oh, 3 steps ahead of everybody. I'm like, well, what's it gonna be? Are you trying to pretend? Is he legitimately stepping away because John Cena is doing the farewell tour and he's trying to make
Probably.
room for Cena, or are we gonna see something funky? Because that's when he won, a Roman won. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like Paul Heyman looked less than enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like his expression seemed like he didn't seem like elated and excited that he won. He just seemed like he made like a kind of a funny face when he came into the ring to give him the Olafala. So I'm wondering if we're still going to see a payoff. We didn't see it on SmackDown. We saw Paul there as a representative for Roman on SmackDown, but I'm wondering if there's still something there where they're going to try to pay it off, and maybe, who knows, maybe at the Royal Rumble, because on SmackDown that was the big thing, was Paul Heyman saying that Roman Reigns is declared for the Royal Rumble. So
Right.
he's going to be in the Rumble match. John Cena came out and declared for the Rumble too. So I was
Right.
going to ask you,
Yeah.
this one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so John, real quick, yeah, so John Cena came out and actually put us back on track with as far as professional wrestling goes. Gave his great promo,
Great promo.
talked about his farewell tour, tossed out a bunch of names on who he could possibly face. He talked about Drew McIntyre, Gunther, all that good stuff, and the crowd just loved it. Now, Roman Reigns did, and not Roman Reigns, I'm sorry, John Cena did say, but he's like, I'm here for my farewell tour, but that 17th title reign is not going to happen. No way at all. In typical John Cena fashion, he's like, unless, it was kind of goofy, but I like it because it's just,
it was good. Like I was like, yeah, it's like, well, never say never in this.
Yeah,
business.
he's like, unless I enter the Royal Rumble and unless I win it, then I can go. He's like, yeah, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, you know what? When I knew he was going to do his farewell tour, I kind of figured, I assume he's going to win the Royal Rumble. I assume that's going to be.
I wonder about
the story.
That. So here's gonna be my question. So we've got the two big declarations, was Roman Reigns and Cena for the Rumble. They are obviously in the last four. Like they have to be the final four. Like it's those two at least.
I'll be shocked if John Cena comes in anything sooner than 21.
Yeah, I think he might come in like 15, 16. He might come in like right in the middle. But at his age, it would make sense if you put him at like 20, 21. Because that's where Edge came in, like at 21, right? When Edge came back. And then AJ Styles, I think, was like in the high 20s at one point.
AJ Styles was 24, I think.
Yeah. So I think it would make sense to put him in. I think he's one of the last four left in the ring. And Roman obviously is. But you can't it's like, do you really have Roman get thrown out by John Cena? I'm already going to go on, because the Rumble's coming up in what, a couple of weeks already?
It is February 1st.
February 1st, so like 3
yeah.
weeks, probably.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
So here's what I'm wondering. Do you get The Rock as number 30? Because is this a red herring of The Rock's going to step away? He's not going to be a part of this. You guys all have fun. And then you have him come out as number 30. And so that's...
And he'd be the one to eliminate Roman?
And he's the one to eliminate Roman.
And Cody?
And then Cena eliminates him.
Why not Cody? Cody's champion. He shouldn't be.
I'm thinking Cena will eliminate The Rock. I think those are the last three. And so that's the only way, because it's like, how do you have Roman lose to Cena? It's like, well, unless The Rock comes in and throws Roman out, and then Cena gets, and then you got The Rock versus Cena, because they've been teasing that, and then The Rock throws Cena, or the Rock is thrown out by John Cena. I'm wondering if there's gonna be something weird like that happens, because at this point, I'm like, in my head, I was like, okay, you got these two both declaring, and they're both going to be in the final four. How do you do this in a way that doesn't make Roman look weak? Are you really going to try to pay off some of these heel storylines with The Rock? I have a hard time thinking they just threw it all out. Like I'm wondering if this is.
I'd hope they didn't, right? But history has told us before that.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
It'll be interesting. John Cena's got to be the favorite to win the Rumble. He has to be. I'm just wondering how they work it out.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe supposedly because he's back full time is what I heard. Is that
Yeah.
he's going to be at the shows wrestling full time. So we'll see him next week on Raw. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Be interesting. But after that, we did have Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, women's world championship on the line. Fast forward through that, here Raquel did interfere, obviously, but excuse me, it was not enough. Rhea Ripley was able to hit the Riptide, and I think she hit two Riptides.
Yeah, she hit two Riptides like back to back. Yeah,
and then got the victory on Liv Morgan to reclaim her title, which an interesting little twist to the story came in, which I did enjoy. Dom came into the ring to embrace her, which honestly, at first thought you think, okay, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, no, this plays perfectly into his character. Like he just wants to be with the champion. He's just kind of like that guy that just wants to be with the girl that has the most shine on her. And he's like, oh, she lost. Okay, let me go to. But see, what would have been cool is if when he went to go pretend to embrace Rhea, Raquel attacked from behind. Yeah. And then that would have been kind of cool. To have been like, oh well, yeah, that's what he was doing. He was setting her up or whatever. But I think they're trying to put the Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley story to bed because there was backtrack. Me be my investigative self.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch is going to come back.
Yeah.
To Raw. And I say that because if you look at all the Raw promos beforehand, Becky was in them for Netflix. And those are all newly recorded. They were pre-taped.
Yeah.
And so I think what was supposed to happen was Becky Lynch was supposed to come out and surprise re-entry into the universe, and that'll be Rhea's next opponent, which I really do think that's going to be Rhea's next opponent is Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I think so.
As soon as she returns, I know she's coming back. I know she's back. It should just be a matter of time at this point. I don't know why she didn't come back this time around. Instead, after Rhea just kicked Dom down under and just booted him out, hit him with a riptide, she kind of course, the crowd popped to that because she's kind of dumping the old boyfriend, the old baggage, whatever. And as she's walking out, we hear the Undertaker's gong hit, and we get American Badass Taker come out for a random cameo, which is, I say random because he came out on the bike. It kind of took him a little bit to get out there. Rhea kind of had to stall.
I know. She was like hanging out on the ramp waiting.
She's like literally standing there. She even told the camera, shine this up while I, whatever. But Taker came out, just zoomed right by her. Like didn't even acknowledge her.
It was a lap.
Yeah, I did a lap and then came back and then acknowledged her. And then they did the Brothers of Destruction pose at the top of the entrance. It was a cool visual. It was a cool little sign off because obviously, Undertaker is an absolute legend, and it was cool to see that. Yeah, I feel like
cool.
I feel it felt off because I feel the original plan was Becky Lynch to come out.
Yeah,
and this was a last minute deal. And if you guys know anything about Taker is all about the business. So he had a story where he talked about his involvement in the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match. Yeah. He didn't know he was a part of that until like the match was getting underway, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come out.
Come downstairs. We got to talk like, for
now.
We could do this right now."
And he goes, "I'll be right back." Well, and he like went downstairs.
Right? He had been like drinking in the box and all that, and I was like, so he was like buzzing, having beers in the box, and then ran down and did it.
Yeah. So again, knowing that story, knowing that he's down anytime, whenever they need him, he's going to do it. I mean, it's the WWE. It's not very hard for them to get a motorcycle on set in a last minute, deal. But I think that's probably. I think it was supposed to be Becky Lynch, but something came up. Who knows what it was? But we got Taker, which I'm still happy for. But I think that's why it felt kind of.
It felt random. You're right, because when I saw it, I was like, "This seems like kind of a random person to come out," and they just wanted a big name because it's the Netflix thing. So let's have Undertaker be a part of it. But it did seem like, why is Undertaker out here as the American Badass version of him? And he did the biker Taker thing, and then it was just like real quick arm up and then out, and I was like, okay, Undertaker thinks Rhea Ripley's cool, so does everybody else. It was just seemed odd, unnecessary. Cool. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. It's always great to see Taker, but it seemed very random.
It did. Speaking of very random, before that we had backstage where The Rock was also just kind of chilling backstage, drinking tequila out the bottle, and then just gets in his truck and takes off. I'm like, guys, that's illegal. Okay,
and I was like, drinking and driving. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he is heel Rock. He's all being a bad.
Where's the big boss man? No,
he's like, I'm good, and then gets in the car and like.
But yeah, he was welcoming Travis Scott, and the reason that's why I bring this all up because Travis Scott. Speaking of illegal activity, we are in California, mind you. Okay, for Raw, where there are a lot of things legal that aren't legal in other states. So You had Travis Scott come out to accompany with his hardcore title. I guess he took that literal because he walked out blunt in hand,
Yeah.
pumping like casually because they're in California. Obviously, it's fine. I have nothing against it, so don't come at me. I'm totally fine with that. But
Yeah.
it was
It
just it
is what
was
it is.
interesting to see because at the press, because obviously Jey Uso came out with him and they were doing the yeet, and then Travis Scott. It took Travis Scott a minute to get into it, but I think he didn't. I think he was in shock at how many people were like so like hyped for like wrestling. I think he was like, "Oh hell, that's crazy!" But
Yeah.
again, him and Jay were coming down, and I remember it was hilarious at the press conference. Triple H was like, "Thank God Jay did not take a hit
Take a
on
hit.
TV."
Yeah. I know, because Jay won't generally pass on that.
Nah. And I'm like, wow. But that's ballsy of Travis Scott because I felt like there was no rules on Netflix because we had cursing, we had obviously paraphernalia, we had
Yeah, we had
drinking and driving, we had all
drinking,
kinds of stuff.
smoking pot. Like it was, they really took full advantage of the fact that it was on Netflix.
Yeah, which was interesting. But yeah, so again, Travis Scott escorts Jey Uso out for his match against Drew McIntyre. I felt like the crowd was kind of worn out at this point, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because this was a good match.
Mm-hmm.
I
I did
really
too.
enjoyed this match. But you could tell they were exhausted because they didn't pop as loud as I thought they would for him to kick out of the Claymore. And that's Jey Uso kicking out of the Claymore from Drew because that is a very well protected finish.
Yeah.
And they let him kick out of the Claymore. And yeah, I mean it was interesting. But then he gets the roll up for the pinfall victory, which I guess is fitting because you don't want Drew to seem as he can. I mean, I love Jay, and I agree he feels he should be in the main event picture. I agree on all that and all that good stuff. But resume versus resume, like Drew McIntyre as a solo competitor, right? I feel would not be one that should lose to Jay
Yeah.
clean. And
Yeah.
so I think that's why they did that. And I love Jay. And I think it's awesome the push that he's been getting. I love main event Jey Uso, the whole gimmick. The music is awesome. His everything's just great about it. But I think having the roll up made sense, and I'm happy that that was the only roll up of the night, which that makes me even more okay with it.
Yeah.
But it was a decent match. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean the match was fine. Like it did. I'm never a fan of surprise roll-ups, but I was like, it's what it is. Like we just got one. It was a competitive match. I will say, seeing Drew constantly lose high profile because he lost to CM Punk, he
Yeah,
lost to Jey Uso. He can beat Sami Zayn. Like they let him beat Sami Zayn all the time. That's a bit of a bummer for me. Like I hate the fact. Like I like Drew McIntyre a lot. He's a beast. He looks the part. He's a great worker. He's a great wrestler. He's great on the mic now. He's really improved a lot in his promos. And it's just for me, it's kind of sad where I feel like he really is. If you look at him, he seems like a world champion, and he seems like he should be consistently in the world title picture. But everything with him is, oh, he keeps second guessing himself. Oh, he keeps making mistakes. And then he keeps losing when he gets into these feuds with like CM Punk, which I thought was ridiculous that he lost that feud with CM Punk. And then now losing to Jay, it just feels a little flat for me. But it was fine. Like this whole event was an event. It was very not wrestling centric. So the wrestling matches themselves for me were just kind of okay. There was nothing that blew my doors off, including the main event.
yeah. I'm about to say, speaking of not blowing our doors off, so CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the main event. Here's my thing. I'm not really gonna go blow for blow on this one just because it's what we expected. CM Punk came out on top. He got the
Yeah.
victory. Yeah, back and forth. You had Seth Rollins hitting the go to sleep. You had CM Punk hitting the stomp. Good callbacks to old school wrestling tactics in terms of like using your opponent's finisher. Obviously, they're gonna kick out because you don't know how to really properly do your opponent's finisher
Yeah.
unless you're Kane and you do the damn tombstone because you're Undertaker's brother. But
Yeah.
with that exception, yeah, there was, obviously that's what's going to happen. My only issue with this is that CM Punk won. I don't think and here's why. We're ushering in the Netflix era, new era in wrestling. All this talk was about new. What happened on this show? We had The Rock ditch a storyline that they've been building that was new, but now it's not. John Cena is coming back to more than likely win the 17th title run, to get a 17th title run. And then you had, of course, after that, you had Undertaker come out to congratulate Rhea. And then now you have CM Punk beating pretty much the representative of the new age of WWE in Seth Rollins. So we're not really moving forward, so to speak, right? It's still stuck in that, hey, the old heads are going to win. And don't get me wrong, I like CM Punk. I think he obviously he's great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. I know he is. Whenever he's done, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I get it, and I appreciate him for it, and I really do. But I feel this should have been the passing of the torch match to Seth Rollins, because he won clean with 2 GTSs.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do now with Seth? Seth was already coming off of getting destroyed by, oh man, Bronson Reed. And, he's still trying to climb his way back up, obsessed with CM Punk, just so CM Punk can just beat him clean.
Yeah.
I don't know that this was the right move. I don't agree with it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure y'all can put in the comments and tell me I'm wrong or whatever, or maybe state your claim. Maybe I'll see it differently. I can be swayed, but right now, I don't see why this should have been the finish. I don't know your thoughts.
No, you're right. I hated this match. I absolutely hated it from start to finish. And the reason why I hated it, not just because of CM Punk, but it wasn't great wrestling. Like Seth Rollins is always good. CM Punk got blown up pretty early, and there was lots of little rest breaks and things like that were happening. I thought they made CM Punk the Terminator in this one because he got hit with buckle bombs, stomps. He got hit with the GTS a couple of times. He got hit with a pedigrees. Like every single finisher that Seth Rollins has ever had, and then using CM Punk's own finishers, kicked out of everything. Got his foot on the rope. Like when Seth hit the superplex on him and then rolled up to hit the second one, but he immediately countered to GTS. I'm like, really? That superplex did nothing to you, and you jumped up and immediately countered it into a GTS? And then the finish made me mad because it was a superplex, GTS, and then Seth kind of did a Bugs Bunny stumble into the ropes, balance back, and then land awkwardly on his shoulders.
That was a copy paste from AEW when he faced Jon Moxley.
Yeah, because it was copy paste, and it was stupid because also CM Punk tried to stand up with him and he couldn't get up, and then he kind of slipped, and then Seth had to put his feet down to help him up, and then to help him hit it. So CM Punk messed up the finish too because he was too tired to stand up and lift him all the way up on his back, and then he hits it, and I was like, wait a second, you've kicked out of a million finishers, and Seth just got hit with 2 GTSs and it's over. To your point, I'm like, this should have been a passing of the torch of CM Punk should be doing more to help other people get over. Now he's beat Drew McIntyre and he's beat CM Punk, who both are more the future right now than CM Punk is. And I didn't like it at all. I thought it made Rollins look weak. And I know they're just continuing to build CM Punk up because eventually they're going to put the title on him. And so they're trying to continue this build for him. So I wasn't happy about it. This is my least favorite part of the night. I got it. I get that they were going to do it. Like I figured he was going to win. I figured it was going to happen. It made me mad when it did. And to your point about the looking backwards, speaking of which, right before this was when Hulk Hogan
I was about to say, the worst part of the night was having Hulk Hogan come out to a ton of booze and "F you Hogan" chants, trying to put over Netflix.
And trying to put over his own beer. So here, everything about that. And so people say, well, is it because of political things? I'm like, no, because nobody booed The Undertaker. And The Undertaker he came out and endorsed Trump.
Yeah, he did. So it's not political because they're in California.
Nobody booed it. Yeah,
it's because Hulk Hogan is a terrible, terrible human being.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan has done so much to destroy any goodwill. Between the racist rants, between all these documentaries that come out now and show like, man, Hogan just kind of hosed everybody his whole career. Somebody had made the comment about when they were booing because Jimmy Hart came out first and was thrown.
Poor Jimmy. I feel so bad for Jimmy Hart.
I said afterwards, Hogan probably would, hey, Jimmy, what did you do? Everyone was booing you. I was like, Hogan probably did.
Yeah, he probably put that on Jimmy too.
He probably put that on Jimmy Hart. But I think the thing that rubbed me the wrong way about this too was Hogan came out here to cut a promo for his beer. That's what it was. He wasn't here to help Netflix. He wasn't here to talk about wrestling. He was just like, let me tell you something, brother. I've had a lot of great tag team partners, but no greater tag team partner than Great American Beer. Like everything about it seemed like a joke.
It was an ad.
I'm like, you're really here pitching beer and talking
about
lawsuits
cost money, man.
Yeah,
he needs to get it.
He's got to pay the bills, brother. But he did that, and he was like, I want to say thank you to all you fans. You've been a great tag team partner. And everyone's like, boo. And then he's like, you've stood by me no matter what. And they're like, boo, we don't.
And then he's like, there's no greater partner than Netflix. And it was like, boo. Like,
but I'll tell you who is an even better tag team partner, like better than Macho Man. And he's like naming all these great people who are dead. And it's like Macho Man. And then he's like, Great
Who
American
hated him,
here.
by the way.
Yeah, who
Macho Man, who
despised
hated
him.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely hated him.
In real
So
life, not just a few, like legit, like he
yeah,
did.
legit
He
cannot
made he
stand him.
made a damn rap album to diss Hulk Hogan. That's how much he hated him. Like, you don't believe me? Look it up. Macho Man
Yeah.
be a manhole.
Well, and I think Hogan has just done so much to, Hogan lies a lot.
Oh, he
And Hogan,
does.
like you see him in interviews now, and he changes his stories all the time. He paints things in a picture that's always flattering for himself. He's become insufferable, and this does not take away from, yes, Hogan and Vince McMahon,
Hmm.
who's done a lot of horrible things too, built the wrestling industry
They
together.
did. Yeah.
So yeah, that's true. I'm
From a
not taking any
professional
of that away.
perspective, we have respect for what they built.
Yeah, you
Totally.
have respect
But
for
as a
what they've
human being,
done.
he's terrible.
Yeah, they both suck as human beings.
Yeah.
And Vince, people knew that Vince was not a good person, like forever. It's just it finally all came
We
to light
knew
with
the
the
boss,
lawsuits.
Vince McMahon, was not a character on Raw. That was him, like,
Yeah, that was
legit.
him. And if you've watched the Mr. McMahon Netflix documentary, you should if you haven't seen it, you should totally check that out too.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great person. He was very ruthless, and it is
Hmm.
what it is. But and they built professional wrestling, so give them credit for that. But doesn't mean that you have to cheer them and say that everything they do is good. So that one was everyone was like shocked that he was getting booed like that. I'm like, nah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And you can't play it off as it's California. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you do terrible things in life, you're gonna get booed, and I mean, it was warranted. I'm glad he got booed out of that building. I just felt bad for Jimmy Hart because Jimmy Hart was there. Then before you know it, he was behind Hogan. Then before you know it, he was more back,
Yeah, there's like
more
sneak
back.
out the
He just like the
like, go
Homer
back to
Simpson
Gorilla,
meme. He's
man.
like going back. He's like, I ain't staying for this.
That's why I was
People
like,
like
oh
me.
man, poor Jimmy. I was like, he didn't do anything to deserve this, but it's like he's just out there just
So
catching grenades.
overall, I would say Netflix debut on Raw. I'd give it a B. Here's why. The matches were fine, I guess. Everything was fine. But we had the match of the night with the bloodline match. But I just couldn't get over the whole, like, it's almost like we reset after Mania, I felt. But one thing I'm glad happened was, I know we're anticipating the debut of Penta. And I've been ecstatic for Pentagon Jr. to debut. And I was worried when New Day was challenging Rey Mysterio, and it was kind of insinuating that he was going to be Rey Mysterio's tag team partner. And I was like, for the love of God, just because he's Mexican, do not put him in LWO. Like, I love what Eddie Guerrero built for LWO. I don't like what they're doing with LWO now. I really don't. And I know, not to be mean, but I know it's Ray trying to, like, keep going, and I don't agree with it. I don't like it. He's not putting over the new guys because they hardly ever get work. And I mean, it's not. So I was hoping, I was like, for the love of God, don't just put him in LWO, because that'll give him a tough hill to climb and tough hole to dig out of. Because Penta, if you don't know who he is, look him up. He is amazing in the ring. He's a great luchador. So instead, you had Chad Gable go backstage and challenge and say, I deserve to wrestle your best luchador. He legit said luchador. And so I'm pretty sure that's who we're going to get.
Yeah.
It's Chad Gable against Penta, which is great, which is even better.
Yeah.
Because that's going to put, it's going to be great. Penta's going to wrestle, because, I mean, Chad Gable's a great wrestler. Penta's awesome. It's going to be a great match, and I'm excited for it. So I guess that's the only saving grace, is that we didn't get Penta to debut in the LWO, which thank God for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I give Netflix, I'll give it a B, just because it only had 4 matches for a 3-hour show. Yeah. And it was mostly pageantry and the abandonment of the Rock storylines and all that stuff. It left a lot to be desired for me. So I'll give it but it's a B. Like, it's a spectacle. They got a spectacle. That's what they wanted, and they think they got exactly what they wanted out of it. SmackDown, I'll try to fly through. It was a 3-hour show, but it had 6 matches. So I'm going to already give it an A for wrestling.
Yes.
I'm going to say
SmackDown was a little more, less promo, but more matches, and I liked
more matches,
more action,
very little promo. So that gets an A for me. So we had 6 matches. It was really good. Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett are the new commentary team, so that was kind of expected because Michael Cole's going to Raw. You know, that means who's our Corey Graves is our odd man out now, so he's on NXT. I like Corey
He's on
Graves a lot.
NXT for now until Pat McAfee goes to football
Yeah, until
again.
he goes back again. But I'm like,
Yeah,
man, I always like Corey Graves. So
I like
Corey's one of
Corey
my
Graves.
favorites. So
Yeah.
I'm sad that he got bumped from the team, but I get it. There's only so many spots. We had 2 U.S. championship matches, so I'm going to go through this real quickly that were scheduled. Well, first thing I'll say, we already talked about it. Paul Heyman just came out and opened the show to say Roman Reigns declared for the Rumble, which we already talked about that. You had him call out Cody Rhodes to tell Cody that face to face because he's coming for the title. And then at that point, you had Kevin Owens come out and interrupt. Kevin Owens and him kind of brawled backstage. While they were brawling backstage, Paul Heyman was in the ring by himself, and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga came out to confront him. Before they could do anything, Jimmy ran down for the save, and then Jimmy got overwhelmed, and then Cody came back to help and cleared the ring. As soon as all this happened, I was like, well, I guess they're going to have a tag match. They didn't announce it, and then
Teddy Long style.
yeah, until like the end of the show, or like halfway through the show, they're like, "Oh, by the way, there's going to be a tag match with all of these people." So I was
It's
like,
been
"Okay,
made official.
it was just a setup." And so they had all of that. We had a commercial break, came back from break, and then security was still fighting with Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. And LA Knight threw Jacob Fatu out of the ring or out of the arena. He like grabbed him, was like, "Let me help you out here." He wasn't using his indoor voice. And as soon as that happened, I was like, they're going to interfere in his title match. Like, it was so telegraphed when it happened. So, and that came a little bit later. But the first match was the women's U.S. Championship match. Meacham versus Chelsea Green. Surprise, surprise. Chelsea retained after a surprise roll up, grabbing the tights. The match was fine. It was what it was.
She should have retained.
Yeah, you knew she wasn't going to lose right here, and of course she didn't. So that one continues. That's really all the notes that of any importance. Their rivalry will continue here, and then we moved immediately into like earlier today. Nick Aldis and all the tag teams were arguing, so Nick's just started setting up tag team matches as for who to demonstrate who's ready for a title. But it's not a tag team tournament. I like that they tried to say this is not an official tag tournament. However, we're gonna do a tag tournament style
match,
which is why I was like, at first I was like, oh, they're doing like another tag tournament, and then they made sure to say this is just for whoever wants to step
who's more
up. Who's more deserving. And so we had the first match went right into it, was Los Garza versus Pretty Deadly, with Los Garza was obviously going to win. Again, some of these seem really obvious. They were obviously going to win. You had Pretty Deadly calling for DIY throughout the match, like, help us, to return the favor from the previous week. DIY didn't show up. You eventually got interference from Santos Escobar because they're all heels.
Yeah.
And his guys won. So Los Garza advances in the non-official tournament. Is how that goes. Any other thoughts to share here, Big D? I know, just kind of breeze through these.
That was, I mean, honestly, it was fine. It was, yeah I agree.
It was what it was. And then we got LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura right after this. It was at the 53-minute mark. We were on our third match, so I was loving this. I was like, we're getting all wrestling. But the whole time I was like, this was a good match. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
I thoroughly enjoy LA Knight. I thoroughly enjoy this version of Shinsuke Nakamura. Is awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
I loved it. It was really fun. I just knew because
looming
of what happened
was the
earlier,
bloodline.
That the bloodline's going to come out here and attack him and stop him from winning, which is exactly what happened. Like, LA Knight hit the BFT, was about to get the win. As soon as that happened, Tama Tonga and Jacob jumped in and attacked him and took him out. And then you had Cody and Jimmy ran down to help after LA Knight got decimated. And it was like, oh, by the way, these guys are all fighting later. So it was like, I mean, the match itself, this is probably the one that I enjoyed the most, I will say, out of the night. I mean, there were some really good ones.
Yeah, there's a few good matches, but this was one of them, definitely. I liked it. I love this version of Shinsuke. I love the more aggressive side of him. I think this is what we should have had the whole time. And I love it. I liked every bit of it. And I think LA Knight, trying to reclaim that U.S. title, it's still, weighing on him and everything. I think that was perfect. And it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens from here, though. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And then right after this, we got Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under for that unofficial tag tournament again. This one was solid. 4 matches in the first hour and 30 minutes. So they were moving quick.
Yeah.
From match to match. Sabin and Shelley are always great. Grayson Waller's always okay for me. Austin Theory, I think, is awesome.
Yeah, I feel he's underutilized. Yeah, Austin Theory is severely underutilized.
Super, super talented. Great in-ring worker. I think he's got a great personality, too. I really do wish they'd flip him to a babyface at some point and just let him do the babyface thing versus the heel shtick, because I think that there's something there. He's got charisma. He's just always trying to do the heel thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had Motor City Machine Guns win off the Skull and Bones on Theory. Theory, of course, always has to get
He
to
always
take
has
the
to take the
pin in
loss.
me.
Yeah,
He always takes the loss. This match was really great. I enjoyed this one as well.
I agree. I enjoyed it too. Again, Motor City Machine Guns always put on a great match. It's a shame that Austin they had. I feel like they pulled the plug on the breakup between A Town Down Under.
Yeah,
I really do, but I kind of wish they would do it because I liked Austin Theory better as a solo competitor. I think he
yeah,
does so much better because he has a bright future, I'm sure, and I think we'll see more of him soon. But I'm just waiting.
yeah. No, I agree. And then after this, you had like a gauntlet of things happen where Tiffany Stratton came out for her interview. She's the new WWE Women's Champion. You had Nia backstage saying that hey, I'm going to go out there and congratulate her and find out what's going on. And then basically Tiffany said she duped Nia into thinking that she was dumb and like this was her plan all along. She stole her most prized possession. Nia came out, called her ungrateful, said she could kill her and that she'd be nothing without her, that whole thing. And then Bayley came out and mocked them both and said she deserved a shot at the title. And then Naomi and Bianca Belair interrupted. Naomi said that she had Nia beat. She deserves a title shot. And then there was a brawl that ensued with everybody, with which I appreciated this part where Tiffany ran up and did the prettiest moonsault and took everyone out and then left. Because I was like, cool, make her look strong. I first thought that she was going to take off and run away, but she took out the whole crowd and then was like deuces and then walked away. And then you had Nick Aldis just come out and go, hey, the four of you in the ring, including Bianca, who never made a claim at the title, you're now competing in a fatal four-way right now. And that really was like Teddy Long style.
Yeah, I think they're going back to their roots, but I enjoyed that. I did like that. I like that he did that. I like it. I mean, we kind of saw it coming when they were all down there.
Yeah.
And Tiffany got out of the way. Obviously, it was a clear setup, especially when they all come out in their ring gear. It's extremely obvious.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It wasn't like they were in street clothes. They were all ready to go.
Yeah, so I mean, but I enjoyed it because the match that ensued was fun.
Yeah, Bianca versus Naomi versus Nia versus Bayley. It started out a little slow moving, but it did pick up later and it got fun. The long story short on this one, we got, Candice LeRae running down to help Nia, but she kind of just hung out ringside. She didn't really help. And then she finally did interfere. So I did not like the end of this. So she interfered and she stopped Bianca from hitting Bayley with the KOD. And then Bianca accidentally took out Naomi with her hair. So she
yanked the braid, and in doing so, it just
whipped around. It was like a cable that went flying, and like you see in a movie that cuts somebody in half. So it like whips around and hits Naomi in the abdomen and injures her so badly that she's like out of commission.
Yeah.
And then Nia pulled Bianca out of the ring, and Bayley hit a rose plant on Naomi, who couldn't recover from the braid to the tummy. Mm-hmm. And Bayley's now the number one contender. It was so silly because that braid didn't generate that level. If her braid is that bad, she should just use that immediately in every single match.
She used to use her braid.
Well, but like to devastate somebody to the point where they're incapacitated, it's like it was one shot across the midsection. And Bayley's your number one contender and doing it to her friend, like taking advantage of her injured friend.
I feel that was the right call. Yeah. I think Bayley, because I still feel Bayley was the one responsible for Jade Cargill.
Yeah. I think,
and maybe what you do is you have the match at the Rumble between Bayley and Tiffany Stratton, and that's where you have Jade Cargill return and cost Bayley the match. So I think that would be cool. But I enjoyed this four-way. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Bayley's number one contender. I agree. I think she still is the person responsible for the attack on Jade. So we'll see if they build to that or not, or if they just abandon that storyline completely. And then all of a sudden Jay comes.
She's just going to show up. Hey guys, how's on vacation?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, you recovered. Do you ever find out who did it? Nah, we don't have any.
Did what? Cameras. What are you talking about? Oh, it was The Rock. He was drinking and driving.
I know, right? There you go. We know who the culprit was.
Terramana tequila.
A bottle of tequila laying on the ground.
It was an F-150. It just came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere, and he was slurring.
He was singing "You're Welcome." I don't know what happened.
Goodness gracious. Main event time. Match number 6 of the night. Cody and Jimmy versus Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. This was a good match. Jimmy and Cody worked well together. Jacob Fatu is great as always. Yeah, Cody getting the hot tag towards the end and running wild on everybody. You had a cool superplex from Cody, followed by the Uso splash from Jimmy on Tama Tonga. So there was some cool stuff.
That was fun. That was nice.
You knew we'd get interference from Kevin Owens. Of course we did. Like This is the other thing of all the matches were pretty predictable in what their outcomes were going to be.
Yeah.
Like, everything was really telegraphed. Even though we got 6 matches, it was really telegraphed.
Yeah.
So KO walked down and just got intercepted by Rhodes on the ramp at one point during the match. And they brawled into the backstage area. And I'm like, dude, there's a tag match. So he basically abandoned Jimmy
Yeah.
to go fight KO in the
Because
back.
he was blinded with rage.
Yeah, he just couldn't help himself. He already said, I'm getting you on site next time I see you. So that includes abandoning your tag team partner. So nice one, Cody. And then basically it was a 2-on-1 at that point.
Yeah.
And Jacob hit the moonsault on Jimmy. He got the win for his team, obviously. And then the final was just Kevin Owens and Cody brawled back into the arena, ended up on top of the production crates, and Cody tackled Kevin Owens on, through a pair of tables that just happened to be set up right at the end of the production crates. And they just both crashed into the floor, and it was like, oh my gosh, they're going to kill each other at the Royal Rumble. And then they just cut out. And that was that.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. Like, we know they hate each other. We know they're going to attack each other. You don't have to do it every single week.
Yeah.
So that was fine. It did just feel like the whole main event, there wasn't anything that was needed here. He's still teaming with Jimmy, but it was good.
But you know what? It wasn't necessary. But to SmackDown's credit, it was wrestling for the sake of having wrestling on a wrestling show, right? And I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, all day. I'm happy with it. I think this match was fine. Again, it was just another opportunity for Jacob to shine through. And it's funny to see the chemistry between Cody, between Cody Rhodes and Tama Tonga, because they used to be Bullet Club members together back in New Japan. And so they have that rapport with one another. And you saw it here. I think Tama Tonga looked a little bit stronger in this match because of it. Because they have that familiarity, they have that chemistry together. So honestly, it kind of got me thinking, like, what if, and this is just wild speculation here, what if like Cody does turn heel, but he doesn't like partner or side with the Bloodline? Like he takes Tama Tonga, he takes Tonga Loa, the Gorillas of Destiny, and then he brings in some other Bullet Club members, and now we have a new revised Bullet Club. He gets because Styles is still part of the WWE.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, so are the Good Brothers. So I mean, that would be nice little callback to see. But
that would be one, because I'm wondering what they're going to do.
Finn Balor's still there. The founder of the Bullet Club is still there. So
since now you have Bloodline 2.0's technically no more. I mean, technically, like this one was like, hey, there's Jacob. Obviously, Tonga Loa is still injured, but you have Jacob and Tama Tonga, and they were kind of just like wanderers this week. There was no Solo to be found.
They're just running roughshod through the locker room and just beating up whoever the hell they felt like.
Yeah. So they need a leader. So it would make sense if it would be cool if Cody was that leader. I would much rather see Cody as a heel at this point.
Yeah.
I've never really bought much into the finishing the story thing. I've never been a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I don't think he's the best technical wrestler around. I don't think he's the best on promo. Like, he's good at both, but he's not really dynamic for me. And I know lots of people love him.
It's his charisma, honestly. Yeah. He has great charisma, and
he does.
I think I wouldn't mind a Cody heel turn. I feel like doing a new level or new age Bullet Club would be pretty dope, because you have 3 strong members already between Finn, the actual founder, and AJ, who used to be a leader of the Bullet Club, and Cody, who also was the leader of the Bullet Club at one point. And then you have the Gorillas of Destiny. You have the Good Brothers. Like, right there, you already have a faction right there. It would be very cool to see.
Yeah, possibilities.
Imagine this. Imagine Finn Balor gets his match with Damian Priest. Finn Balor comes out, and they're going at it, and Damian Priest is about to get the one up. The screen blacks out, and then the lights come back on, and you got Cody, AJ, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa beating the hell out of Damian Priest, and Finn Balor just laughing in the back in the corner. That would be awesome.
That is like a dream booking. There's no way they're going to do that. That'd be cool.
I know. That would
There's
be so
no
cool.
way. It'd be awesome, though.
Oh, well, I mean, one can dream.
And one can dream. Oh, the other thing I was going to say too, I was like, so there's the last comment on Netflix. So Netflix on Raw, obviously, was a big success. I think for me, it wasn't really a Raw show, because you had a SmackDown culmination.
It was a house show. It was a big house show.
And I'm thinking, for the big debut on Netflix, like, where's Gunther? Where is
your champion?
The world champion? He has been missing for weeks now.
Where are your tag team champions?
Yeah. Where are your tag team champions? Where is your Intercontinental champion? Like, we haven't seen any of these guys. Like, they all just vanished off the face of the earth. So I was a little bummed for that. So hopefully we'll see Gunther this week. Hopefully we'll see Braun Breaker this week, because they basically just kind of wiped them off for the first Netflix Raw show. They were all not to be found. So that was a little bit of a bummer for me. I'm sure they were sitting in the crowd at some point. You'd be like, here's in the crowd. but they
Or
really didn't
backstage
have part of
in
show.
the NXT suite
Yeah,
where
like I'm sure they were there, but it was just like maybe feature them. So hopefully we'll see Gunther this week. And then yeah, we got the build up to Royal Rumble, so we'll see over the next couple of weeks. Surprise entrances. I'm guessing Alexa Bliss is going to be a surprise entrant because they've
I
talked
think she
about her
will.
coming back. I think she'll be there. Becky Lynch maybe
The
coming back at the
question is if
Rumble.
Alexa Bliss will come out as part of the White Six like originally planned.
Yeah, I'm betting no. I'm betting they won't. I bet they'll just bring her back because
As like the
she,
goddess.
yeah, she's been gone for 2 years now, and so I think they're gonna and with Charlotte being out, like I don't know what her prognosis is in terms of coming back from her injury. Asuka's been out with injury, so like a lot of heavy hitters have been out. So I'm wondering who's going to make the surprise appearance. Maybe we'll see Asuka. I don't know how she's doing. Maybe we'll see Charlotte Flair. So there's a lot of potential there. Maybe we'll see The Rock. We better see in the men's rumble. We better see Joe Hendry. We've got
My
to.
God, yes, we better.
We have got to see him here.
That would be so
And at
awesome.
least don't have him get eliminated quickly. Like let him have a good showing.
Let him have fun.
Yeah, but we'll
Let him
see.
start a feud with somebody there.
Yeah, like
You
maybe
know, like
use that
let him
as a
start
way to
feud.
catapult him onto the main roster as a feud. Like I don't want to just see him like in there as like an NXT representative, and
Yeah.
then he's gone. Like I don't want that.
I think he got released from NXT, I think, but
Did
he's
he?
TNA still. I don't know. I have to go back and look. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, he deserves to be on the main roster.
He
Like
does.
he really does. So I hope so. Like what I don't want to see is something like Jordan Grace. Remember Jordan Grace was in the women's rumble last year, and she cooked. She was awesome.
And then that
like,
was it.
That's it. Peace. See you later. And I'm like, man,
I think they used her on NXT for a little bit, but that was it.
but she's one that like she was so much better than most of the other competitors in the women's rumble. I'm like, she really shined. So it was a shame that they didn't explore that further.
I agree.
But anyways, that's it for this week as we build towards the Royal Rumble. We appreciate you all as always. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments if you agree with us, disagree with us, or just want to talk wrestling, all that good stuff. We're open to all of that, but we appreciate the support as always. And until next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. Have a wonderful week, everyone.